Hi everyone, my name is Larry Flick. I'm a professor at a college in Connecticut. This video is on business ethics. The subject seems fairly straightforward. However, there is considerable disagreement on how to define and assess it. Ethics in business is difficult to precisely define. Generally, ethics is a code of moral principles and values that governs the behavior of a person or group concerning what is right or wrong. Ethics can be more clearly understood when compared with behaviors governed by law and by free choice. This graphic from Understanding Management, 11th edition, by Richard Daft and Dorothy Marsick, copyrighted 2020, illustrates that human behavior with regard to ethics falls into three categories or domains. Number 1, codified law, which is the legal standard. Number 2, ethics, which is the social standard. And number 3, free choice, which is the personal standard. Note that the highest amount of explicit control is under codified law, and the lowest is under free choice, where codified law is highly structured and free choice is not. All three behaviors are important in business. Now, let's take a look at how people progress through stages of moral behavior. This graphic shows Laurence Kohlberg's proposed model describing how people progress through 6 sequential states of moral development as they grow from a child to an adult. With each successive stage, a person develops a broader understanding of the principles of justice, social responsibility, and human rights. At the lowest level of moral development, the primary motivation is self-interest and the satisfaction of personal needs. At the middle level of moral development, the primary motivation is to satisfy the role expectations and social norms determined by groups, organizations, and society. At the highest level of moral development, the primary motivation is to fulfill internalized values and moral principles. Though it is a little hard to believe that by age 11 one could reach level 3, step 6, when, in reality, many people never reach that stage regardless of their age. However, a leader who is at a higher level of development is usually regarded as more ethical than one at a lower level. In any case, these two descriptions fit well together in describing general moral and ethical behavior and growth over time. Now, let's focus on business ethics. Most business decisions that have ethical overtones can be described as ethical dilemmas. An ethical dilemma arises in a situation concerning right or wrong when values conflict. It is interesting that in a Gallup poll regarding the perception of business leaders, just 15% of respondents rated leaders' honesty and ethical standards as high or very high. More than 75% of people surveyed agreed with the statement that corporate America's moral compass is pointing in the wrong direction. 69% said that executives rarely consider the public good in making decisions, and a whopping 94% said that executives make decisions based primarily on advancing their careers. This is not good. As an example, let's take a look at a recent story in the news concerning coronavirus protective equipment, the N95 mask, and 3M Corporation. Below is a link to the story on Fox News, dated 4/6/20, though it may not be live at this time. Regardless, the headline was, Florida emergency management official says 3M is selling masks to highest foreign bidders. The short of the story is that during the height of the coronavirus crisis, 3M distributors were selling N95 masks that were in high demand in the United States to the highest foreign bidders. The ethical dilemma was, do we take care of the desperate needs in the U.S. to save lives, or do we make more profit by selling to the highest overseas bidder? Given these headlines, it appears that 3M and/or its distributors made the wrong ethical choice by choosing profits over saving American lives. 3M later gave a lame but logical response and has come around to do the right thing. The point is that when it comes to public relations, opinions, and perceptions, 3M will suffer tremendously. There are so many examples of ethical dilemmas in business that we will not go into now. No wonder the statistics mentioned before were that, quote, a whopping 94% said that executives make decisions based primarily on advancing their careers and not what is right or wrong. Now, let's go back to this graphic introduced before. When it comes to ethical dilemmas in business, most of them occur in the domain of free choice, where so much depends on a personal standard. Within the domain of ethics, in the middle, if you face a business decision where one group benefits and the other does not, you can fall back on the idea that if it were published in a local newspaper, giving your reasoning and the choice you made, what would the public opinion be? Would you be proud of your decision? If so, it may be ethical. If not, it may be considered unethical. However, when it comes to free choice, to the right on the graphic, who defines what is right or wrong? The theory says that personal standards would dictate your choice. Well, everyone's personal standards are different. It depends on how you were raised, under what religion, culture, and country you are from. So, in business, how do you determine right from wrong? At this point, let's take a look at some definitions. Ethical, pertaining to or dealing with morals or principles of morality pertaining to right and wrong in conduct, being in accordance with the rules or standards for right conduct or practice, especially standards of a profession. The synonyms for ethical are moral, upright, honest, righteous, virtuous, and honorable. Moral, of relating to or concerned with the principles or rules of right conduct, or the distinction between right and wrong. Ethical, moral attitudes, founded on the fundamental principles of right conduct rather than on legalities, enactments, or custom. Moral obligations. The synonyms for moral are upright, honest, straightforward, open, virtuous, and honorable. Note that the synonyms for ethical and moral are almost the same. Integrity, adherence to moral and ethical principles, soundness of moral character, honesty, the state of being whole, entire, or undiminished. Virtuous, conforming to moral and ethical principles, morality excellent, upright. Words related to virtuous include noble, wholesome, honest, honorable, principled, righteous, blameless, exemplary, guiltless, and incorruptible. I think that these definitions, synonyms, and related words explain ethical standards quite well. I like the words upright, righteous, honorable, undiminished, and incorruptible. So now, what can be done to turn around the negative statistics presented before? Usually, ethical dilemmas arise from choices between what is morally and ethically right versus profitability or advancement. Hundreds of studies have been undertaken to determine whether heightened ethical responsiveness increases or decreases a company's financial performance. Studies have provided varying results, but they have generally found a positive relationship between ethical behavior and a firm's financial performance. Basically, who wants to buy from an unethical business? Another good argument is that people prefer to work for companies that demonstrate a high level of ethics. Thus, these organizations can attract and retain high-quality employees. After all, the real value of an organization is its people. It is generally acceptable to say that organizations take on the characteristics of its leader. The leader, therefore, has a great influence on corporate culture, and the corporate culture has a tremendous effect on business ethics, either good or bad. Within an organization, there are many ways to manage and attempt to ensure a high level of ethics. As shown in this graphic, some of them are ethical leadership, code of ethics, ethics committee, chief ethics officer, ethics hotline, ethics training, and support for whistleblowers. In conclusion, the preponderance of evidence supports that if we want to change the current perceptions of business ethics and become successful both in profitability and advancement, We need to individually strive to reach higher levels of ethical behaviors and become leaders that exemplify the highest moral standards.